To keep the good stuff in the family, my bro not only wants me to nail his wife, he also wants her knocked up. Afterwards, my sister-in-law wasn't angry at all. She even wants to continue this secret affair with me. Just as I was about to clock out today, my bro suddenly called me to his office. He told me something that made me both uneasy and excited. And this bro of mine isn't even my blood brother. He's my sworn brother, because I came from the countryside. I've been his personal driver, always by his side at this moment. He sat in his office with a troubled expression. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. To be honest, my father has been diagnosed with late-stage cancer. The only thing the old man can't let go of is me. Not having his own kids yet, so I was a little confused. Then you and your wife should just have one, if only it were that simple. His expression was already terrible at this point. I immediately understood something, bro. Even though I don't know what you're thinking. Just tell me what's up, whatever you need me to do. I won't hesitate. Good. I knew I saw something in you, my bro said this while standing up and patting my shoulder. Now, it's time for you to help your brother solve this problem. I looked at him, dumbfounded. My heart was racing, seeing my blank look. My bro slapped my shoulder hard. He said fiercely, if you're true, bro, do me a big favor tonight. Yeah, bro, tell me. I nodded solemnly. Tonight, I'll make you a man. Get it on with your sister-in-law. His eyes were locked on me. I didn't understand him at all. Don't play dumb with me. My bro lightly tapped the back of my head. Do you think your sister-in-law is pretty? Is she hot enough? I nodded awkwardly. I still didn't fully understand what he was getting at. Bro, just spit it out. He looked at me and gave me another hard neck flick. I'm telling you to screw your sister-in-law. Got it. I couldn't believe what he said. Staring blankly at him. Fine. I'll tell you the truth. I myself can't. He lowered his head in sorrow. I was incredibly shocked. Bro, you can't be messing with me. If you can't do it, how could I still hear your wife's soulful moans at night? For convenience, I've been living at his place. You little brat, eavesdropping on me and your sister-in-law. My bro glared at me. Bro, it's not that I wanted to hear. It's that you and sis-in-law were way too loud. I quickly explained. He pouted. Still, he barely suppressed his anger. It's not that I can't do it. It's that my seeds aren't good enough. I was completely dumbfounded looking at him. So, you gonna help me or not? Give me a straight answer. Anyway, I need your sis-in-law to get pregnant soon. He said firmly. Alright, bro, I promise you, my mind was made up. I decided I'd quit after completing this for him. Good, that's my bro. Let's start tonight. He seemed relieved. He breathed a sigh of relief. Then, how do I do it? I had no idea what kind of master plan he had in mind. I knew sis-in-law's personality. Even though she's been married for 7 years without kids, her pride and coldness are not something any ordinary man can get close to. I've already thought it through. You just need to get ready to bang your sister-in-law. I'll handle the rest. He said confidently. After dinner, I hid in my room early. I took a serious shower, then I sat on the bed, waiting quietly. At that moment, I was both eager and scared. I was eager to taste my goddess's fragrance tonight, and scared of his almost insane method. He wanted to use my seed, but it had to be without her knowing. This is going to be difficult. If things go south, I'm done for. I sat on the bed and opened my laptop. It showed the inside of my bro's bedroom. He had prepared this a while back, so I could strike when the moment was right. The foreplay was naturally handled by my bro. They've been married for 7 years. Of course, he knew where she was most sensitive, watching him move like a pro, and the endless soft moans from my sister-in-law. I almost coughed up blood. She was just so perfect. A flawless figure, perfect proportions. A slender curve, almost all the beauty of women was concentrated in her at this moment. I felt a thirst all over my body. I grabbed a can of cola and gulped it down. But I still felt parched. Oh right, Laoli, my bestie, Ping Ping, might be coming over with her hubby in a few days. We need to give them a good reception. Her sweet voice came from the speakers. Of course, you know their business. Her hubby has business dealings with me. We definitely have to treat them well. My bro agreed readily. His hands weren't idle either. Everything was going according to his plan. Finally, after his endless coaxing, she put on the eye mask. His foreplay was almost complete at this moment. I saw him wave his hand twice at the camera. I knew it was my time to shine. Nervous and anxious, eager and worried. My heart felt like a mixed bag. I couldn't figure out what this feeling was. I opened my door and rushed out of my room. He was standing right outside his bedroom door, waiting. He waved at me. He whispered in my ear, "Go and quickly, make it fast. Don't let your sister-in-law find out." I nodded. I tiptoed into his bedroom. The first thing I saw made me lose all control. The scene I had always dreamed of was right in front of me. This image seemed to have appeared in my mind before, but it was only in my imagination. I never thought it would be real today. I couldn't believe it. In the haze of excitement, I hadn't lost my sanity yet. I knew I was here to complete a mission. I quickly approached the bed. I carefully climbed on, just one step away from completing the task. As long as I get on her for a few rounds, sow the seed, then quietly retreat. I could achieve my goal, but I never expected that. Just when I was about to enter her world, suddenly, she spoke. Oh, right? There's one more thing I wanted to tell you. That scared me half to death. I instantly jumped off the bed. Without thinking about her anymore, I darted out of the bedroom. Did you do it? He asked in a low voice. His face dark. Oh no, sis-in-law, it seems. I'm scared to death. I couldn't even finish a sentence. You're useless. He glared at me, but he didn't dare delay. He quickly pushed the door and entered the bedroom. I returned to my own room. My mood was unsettled for a long time. My mind was full of my sister-in-law. I saw everything I should and shouldn't have. But I didn't touch what I should or shouldn't have. I could only blame myself for being too timid. Disappointment and regret, mixed with the relief after the scare. Unconsciously, I fell asleep, until my sister-in-law's heavenly voice echoed from outside the door. ZG, breakfast is ready, after more than a year together. She no longer saw me as an outsider. Actually, I usually wake up very early, and I have a habit of morning runs, but I couldn't get up today. During breakfast, I felt like a guilty kid. I didn't dare look her in the eye. She was naturally oblivious. She was still the same as usual, busy. She busied herself sending my bro and me out the door. We didn't say a word, until the car entered the company's underground parking lot. My bro finally spoke. Your sis-in-law's bestie is coming soon. We must hurry up. Bro, I'll listen to you. I felt a bit sorry for my bro. After all, his most cherished woman was seen by me. Well, in this half day, we'll repeat the same trick. You must seize the opportunity this time. My bro continued. That day, I felt like I was in a daze. I couldn't even enjoy my meal. I almost got into an accident while driving. Finally, night came again. Everything was as before. Soon it was my time to step up again. This time, I mustered up my courage and entered the bedroom. I climbed straight onto the bed. It didn't seem as scary as I thought. Everything was very natural. My blindfolded sister-in-law was gentle and charming. I didn't just see it all. I also enjoyed the soft and supple touch of her skin. It was simply wonderful. I was lost in a sea of soft, spongy pleasure. Just when I was about to forget everything, I discovered a pair of beautiful, cold, and alluring eyes. Staring at me fiercely, I was stunned. I felt like something bad was about to happen. I didn't know when she had taken off her blindfold. I couldn't care about anything else. My first instinct was to run away. But as soon as my body moved, I felt my vital point was tightly gripped by her delicate hand. I couldn't move. Then, I felt a burning pain on my face. Her other small hand gave my right cheek a heavy greeting. I was like a fool at that moment. I sat straight up on the bed. ZG, you're such a scumbag. I've been so good to you. Yet you do such a disgusting thing. I was speechless for a moment. My eyes were like bewitched, stuck on her body. To be honest, even though she's in her early 30s, her figure and skin are just too well maintained. What are you looking at? She seemed to notice my gaze. Realizing she was still naked, she immediately pulled the sheet around herself. Get out of here. I sat on the bed, at a loss. Of course, I heard her words. But how could I explain things to my bro if I just rolled out like that? If he knew things were exposed, he would definitely protect himself. He'd put all the blame on me. Then I'd be in deep trouble, looking at her furious face. If she cried out that I was assaulting her, I would die a horrible death as well. She pulled the sheet even tighter. Then she moved back. Did you hear me? Get out of here now. If you don't leave, I'm going to scream. No, sis-in-law, please don't. I'm going. I was completely disheartened. I slowly climbed off the bed and walked towards the door with my head lowered. Wait a minute. Her voice came from behind. I paused. My heart suddenly filled with hope. I quickly turned around. Come here. There was hatred in her eyes. I timidly sat back on the edge of the bed. As soon as I raised my eyes, I heard her say with a glare, be honest with me. If you want to keep your life, answer my questions truthfully. Sis-in-law, ask away. I will answer you honestly in this situation. I could only protect myself first. She shifted her position, making herself comfortable. Tell me, what was the reason behind all this? Did you sneak in here to assault me? Or, I hesitated. After all, I really couldn't bring myself to say something so disloyal. She was obviously getting impatient. She kicked my butt. You're not gonna talk, are you? Then get out of here now. But you know what the consequences will be. You know what you're going to face. Faced with her pressure and this kind of situation, I really couldn't take the fall for my bro. I gritted my teeth and nodded hard. My bro sent me. Her lips curved into a slight smile. So, I guessed right? I had no choice but to bite the bullet and tell her the whole plan. That my bro had schemed for me to secretly make her pregnant. I confessed everything to her after learning the truth. She was somewhat dazed. She didn't say anything for a while. I didn't dare make a sound either. I was afraid I might say the wrong thing and anger her. Sis-in-law, it's not like my bro. It was a last resort. I wanted to say. I tried to speak on his behalf. and persuade her a bit, she suddenly yelled. That yell almost scared the guts out of me. I instinctively covered her lips with my hand. After all, my bro was right outside the door. She shook her head. She raised both of her hands, trying to pry my hand away. Now that's a problem. The sheet won't stay wrapped around herself by magic. My eyes were drawn to her bare skin. I couldn't look away even if I wanted to. Her little hand slapped my face again. Sis-in-law, you've got it all wrong. I have no other intentions, I said with a pout, rubbing my face. She snorted heavily. You've seen it all. You've touched it all, and now you don't have any intentions. Is it because your sister-in-law is ugly? Not worth your intentions. I was completely baffled. Sis-in-law. Do you think your sis-in-law is pretty? I nodded vigorously, covering my face. Then why do you say you have no intentions? Do you like your sister-in-law? Her expression was unnatural after being asked this by her. I was beyond confused. I was just dumbfounded. Looking at my awkwardness, her face softened slightly. Then she said sternly again, ZG, if you truly like your sister-in-law, then I'll go along with it. What? I couldn't believe my ears. My sister-in-law wasn't just anybody. She had a great figure and outstanding looks, especially that aura of a refined lady. She was truly the kind of goddess that most men could only dream about. According to my bro's scheme, I would have the chance to experience her beauty, but now she was saying it herself. It was hard to believe. What? You don't want to? Her anger was shifting from furious to gentle. Sis-in-law, are you serious? I asked hesitantly. Dead serious, she said firmly. But you have to agree to 2 conditions. I was as excited as if I had won the lottery. I agree, not to mention 2. I'd agree to 200. She loosened her grip on my balls, then said seriously, first, from now on you have to listen to everything I say, including things between you and my husband. Second, even if you get a girlfriend later, you cannot initiate a breakup unless I want to cut ties. No problem, sis-in-law, don't worry. Not that I'm not looking for a girlfriend, but even if someone introduces me to one now, I wouldn't want one. Who could compare to you? -1 in-law, I replied firmly. Seeing my quick agreement, a hint of blush appeared on her face. Her phoenix brows drooped and she bit her lower lip. Since you've already agreed, what are you waiting for? Looking at her enchanting appearance, how could I not understand what she meant? So I let go and entered our own little world with her. Looking at her enchanting appearance, how could I not understand what she meant? I let go and entered our own little world with her. Time flew by. I experienced a sensation and tenderness I had never experienced before. I understood what it meant for married women. And the 7-year itch, in half an hour, I wasn't able to completely do everything. But my immature self just couldn't hold back and gave in completely. She gently patted the back of my head. She said with a loving tone, you just blasted right in. Without thinking, I replied, that's how it should be. So you can get pregnant. Get out of here. Who wants to get pregnant? She scoffed. Li Yongxiang wants me to get pregnant. I just won't. I suddenly woke up. My heart was filled with sweetness. It meant she liked me and was giving me a chance. Then what should we do? I asked dumbly. She pushed me away. Then she said enchantingly, what else can we do? Take some pills. This thing's done for. Will pills work now? I was really confused. Well, out tomorrow, when you're free. Go to the drugstore and buy me a box of Yuding. Okay, she tittied up the bed. Hurry up and leave, or Li Yongxiang will get suspicious. I suddenly snapped out of it. I was too busy enjoying her, and forgot that my bro was waiting outside. I rushed out of the bedroom. Why did it take so long? He couldn't wait to ask me. I quickly made up a lie. Well, I don't know why, but I couldn't get it out. His face was incredibly dark. So, did you get it out or not? Yes, I did. I didn't dare to look at him. He answered and walked towards his room. I could clearly feel that he was looking at me with cold, vicious eyes. I slept very soundly and sweetly that night, and of course, I had a beautiful dream. The main character of the dream was my sister-in-law. The next morning, she called me for breakfast as usual, but my expression was extremely awkward. On the way to the company, my bro remained silent until we were almost at the company. He told me, your sis-in-law's bestie is coming tonight after work. Don't wait for me. Go straight home and pick up your sister-in-law, and go to the airport to pick them up. I nodded in agreement, but I felt that there was something strange about the way he was looking at me. At the company, I was playing games in the driver's lounge, when suddenly I got a video call. It startled me. I was surprised when I answered it. It was my sis-in-law on the other end in the video. Her delicate and pretty face captivated me. What are you doing? Missing me already? She slightly curved her lips. Still being elegant, she fluttered her eyes at the camera. Her words warmed my heart. I quickly nodded vigorously at the camera. I was afraid if I didn't reply quickly enough, I'd lose the most wonderful opportunity of my life. Okay, I'm just teasing you. Did Li Yongxiang tell you about picking up my bestie tonight? She put away her smile and asked seriously. I subconsciously turned my head to check the door. I'll head back as soon as I clock out. and pick you up, she replied with a sweet smile. Oh, right, did you do what I asked you to do? I was stunned. I couldn't remember for a moment what she had asked me to do, you little brat. Are you not taking my words seriously? She pouted angrily. I racked my brain, but I still couldn't remember. So, she yelled a word fiercely at the camera. Yooting, I smacked my forehead and quickly apologized. It's my fault. Look at this pea brain of mine. I was too busy thinking about you. I actually forgot such an important thing. Then go now. She didn't pursue it further. She just knitted her eyebrows at me. It looked so good. I agreed quickly. Okay, I'll go now. Hang on. Wait a minute. As I was about to hang up, she called out anxiously. I stared blankly at the screen. Is there anything else you need, sis-in-law? I'm asking you? Do you miss me or not? She seemed a bit shy. How could I not miss you? I wish I could fly to your side right now. I replied quickly, I think you're just saying that. She looked disapproving. Now, I see your brain really is like a pig. She seemed a little angry. I rubbed the back of my head. Then I asked sheepishly, sis-in-law, I really don't understand what you mean. Just tell me straight. As long as I can do it, I'll go through fire and water. No hesitation. Hearing this, her face softened a bit. I'm asking you, can't you just come to me earlier? Her words made me realize. It turned out that she wanted me to go home earlier. The meaning was self-evident. Yes, I nodded firmly. Okay, that's all. I'll hang up now. See you tonight. She waved at the camera and smiled sweetly. She ended the call. Her smile lingered in my mind and wouldn't leave. My masculine reaction was extremely strong. At the same time, I was thinking about another question. Women are truly amazing creatures. Before a relationship, they're proud and aloof, looking down on you. But once a relationship starts, they seem out to become a different person. It was truly baffling. But I knew very well, the reason my sister-in-law became so attached to me after just once was probably because she was satisfied with my performance last night. I clearly remembered that at the beginning she was still acting shy and reserved, blushing and timid, but later on, it was like she let go of everything without any restraint. She was particularly active in accommodating me. She was completely unstoppable. Thinking of this, my shameless self reacted again. I wriggled a bit, making myself more comfortable. I thought excitedly, next time, I'll definitely let my sis-in-law experience the highest level of being a woman. After work, I went at full speed. I arrived at my bro's house 10 minutes faster than usual. For the first time, she was already waiting at the door. I had sent her a message before. Today, she was wearing a blue jumpsuit, which further highlighted her noble aura and her graceful figure. Plus, she was already fair-skinned. Looking at her, she looked like an 18-year-old girl. Sis-in-law, you're so beautiful. As she opened the back door of the car, I couldn't help but compliment her. She smiled sweetly. It's nothing, I'm getting old. I shook my head. Sis-in-law, I'm saying what's in my heart. She waved her hand. Oh, right? Did you buy the medicine I asked you to buy? Yes, I did. I secretly rejoiced. Give it to me. She leaned forward, extending her hand to me. I quickly took out the medicine and placed it in her hand at the same time. I held her soft, boneless hand. She didn't refuse. She smiled sweetly. All right, we'll have plenty of time later. Let's focus on driving first. I smiled. I was especially happy. I knew I had gotten a treasure. Sure enough, my sis-in-law wasn't lying. When we picked up her bestie, Shen Yechu, my eyes lit up. She was indeed beautiful. She was about 10 centimeters taller than my sis-in-law. Her figure was well-proportioned. Her long hair flowed. She looked like a rich woman. Her bestie asked, Liu Ryan, your driver is really handsome. She frowned. Oh, shut up. Don't talk nonsense. He's Lao Li's driver. The Garden Hot Spring City was known as the urban paradise. It was a place for food, drinks, and fun while accompanying the two noble women. I was still very mindful of my place. I always stayed behind the two goddesses. Unbeknownst to me, Shen Yechu slowed her pace, leaving my sis-in-law in front. She walked alongside me. What was even worse was that she didn't even try to hide her actions. She linked her arm with mine. This sudden change made me understand what awkwardness was, but to be honest, even though Shen Yechu was very beautiful and charming, and was the kind of perfect woman all men pursued, my heart only belonged to my sis-in-law now. As she was walking, she realized that Shen Yechu was gone. She quickly turned around to find her. When she saw the scene, her face changed drastically, but she quickly returned to normal. Shen Yechu, what are you doing? She chuckled. What? I just like this handsome man. Is that not allowed? It was clear that my sis-in-law was doing her best to suppress her emotions. Don't cause trouble in public. Shen Yechu did listen to her. She let go of my arm and smiled brightly. You're always so fussy. They played in the hot spring city for an afternoon. Both of them were completely exhausted. Ryan, let's not go back tonight after dinner. We can go to the hot spring and then stay here tonight. Shen Yechu was too tired to move. My sis-in-law looked at me with her expression, and I understood. All right, I'll follow your lead. Whatever you want, that's the spirit. You really are my bestie. Shen Yechu happily made a heart shape with her hands. She laughed. Then you should give Laoli a call and tell him, or he'll be worried. No problem. Shen Yechu said and dialed the number. After dinner, the two beauties went to the beauty salon for a facial. I had nothing to do, so I went outside for a stroll. Just then, my phone rang. When I opened it, it was a message from my sis-in-law. Where are you? I quickly replied. I'm out for a walk. You're being neglected. She sounded apologetic. It's alright, sis-in-law. I just miss you. I said honestly, well, I miss you too. Why don't you go to the hot spring first? We still have some time before we're done. We'll find you later. She replied quickly, okay? I'm going right now. I walked quickly towards the hotel hot spring, soaking in the comfortable hot spring. Thinking of my sis-in-law's charming expression, I was a bit tipsy. As I walked down the corridor leading to the private hot spring room, I saw a man with graying hair coming towards me. Looking at a young, pretty girl, he was walking unsteadily. I couldn't help but look at the girl's face again. I suddenly felt a sense of despair and plea. In her eyes, what's going on? My special experience told me. There was something fishy about them. The girl seemed to have drunk a spiked drink. Oh well, this is a consensual thing. It's better not to get involved, don't attract trouble, and ruin my chance with my sis-in-law, so I quickly walked towards the bar counter. A moment later, I saw the old man with white hair, rushing out of a private room in a panic. He was running away, looking back every now and then. It seemed like something scary had happened. My instinct told me that something was wrong. After waiting for a moment, I didn't see the girl come out. I had a bad feeling, so I immediately went to the private room. When I arrived at the third room, the door was ajar. I determined that the girl was in this private room. I pushed the door open and entered the room. What I saw was the pretty, innocent girl. At this moment, she seemed to have become a crazed she-devil. Her hair was disheveled and covered half her face. Her hands were frantically clawing at her body. I knew immediately what was going on. The substance in the drink was an overdose. It caused a poisoning. This symptom was what men wanted to achieve with the drink. After women drink it, they will ask for it from the man, and the men would naturally enjoy it. But once the substance in the drink was too much, it would cause poisoning symptoms. This symptom could only be relieved after the man had completely released her. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Either she dies or becomes disabled. The girl was startled when she saw me enter, but she recognized me quickly and crawled towards me. Save me, save me. The dim lighting plus the girl's fair, jade-like body, her youthful aura, made my masculine nature burst out uncontrollably. I knew very well that what she needed most now was my contribution, but I didn't want to take advantage of her situation. I forcefully controlled my emotions. I started to use another method that I knew of to help her get rid of the drug. I quickly picked her up and put her in the warm hot spring pool. But this was the hot spring city. The water temperature was well controlled at a set temperature. I couldn't use cold water. To remove the toxins from her body, I was at a loss. There was no source of cold water. This method was obviously not going to work at all. I looked at the girl in pain. I could only prioritize saving her first. The entire private room seemed to be shaking. Luckily, I was there. My original purpose was to detoxify her, not to take advantage of her. In countless chaotic and intense rounds of entanglement, I had good control over the rhythm. I persistently detoxified her after one round after another, forcing the toxins out of her body. She finally collapsed in my arms. She was covered in sweat, like a lotus flower emerging from the water. Thank you. She was completely exhausted. Her voice was extremely weak. I want to know why you came here, and why the old man ran away, I asked, pressing her. She was even shyer. He can't. Well, it's not that he can't. He just finished too quickly. I felt terrible, and I desperately wanted him. I guess I scared him off. She seemed more at ease now. I sighed heavily. I chuckled. I should be going now. Take care of yourself. To be honest, her innocence and purity were indeed what I liked. She looked at me. Then she said, remember, my name is Zilongyu. Zilongyu, what a nice name. When I went out, I found that my sis-in-law had sent me several messages. They were all asking where I was. They had already arrived at the hot spring pool. I quickly replied, I'm on my way, and hurried over. Did you run off to find a girl? Shen Yechu spoke first, grinning, heh, I was just drinking something at the bar. I lied smoothly, hurry up and come down. It's really comfortable here. She smiled sweetly and waved at me. I quickly jumped into the hot spring. To be honest, being in the hot spring with two goddesses made me a bit awkward. Hey, Boda, why do you have to stick to my sister-in-law? Why don't you stick to me? Shen Yechu launched an attack without hesitation. My face immediately flushed. My sis-in-law quickly explained. He's more familiar with me. I nodded in agreement. TCH. So what if you're familiar? Sleeping with him makes you even more familiar. Shen Yechu scoffed. I don't know whether her words were unintentional or what. Anyway, both my sis-in-law and I were embarrassed. Fine, I won't argue with you. It's going to happen sooner or later anyway. Shen Yechu was confident. I'll go get some drinks, you guys chat. She said and walked towards the bar counter. The second she disappeared, I quickly put my hand on my sis-in-law's arm. She also leaned her head on my shoulder. Sis-in-law, I want you so bad. I said impatiently, me too. She looked back, tonight. After Shen Yechu falls asleep, I'll go to your room. I'll give you a good time. My little boy, I nodded heavily. I wanted to get closer to her, but she pushed me away. Be careful. Shen Yechu will be back soon. If she sees it, we'll be done for. I quickly pulled my hands back and sat there properly. The two goddesses drank another bottle of wine costing over 3,000 yuan. I only had some juice. Then we each went back to our rooms to rest. The waiting time was extremely agonizing. Looking at the clock, it was already midnight. I guess that Shen Yechu was done for. She must be tired after this whole day. She should be asleep now. So I braved myself to send my sis-in-law a message. Sis-in-law, is she asleep? I'm not sure. Wait a little longer and open the door. Just wait. She replied quickly. Not long after, her slender and beautiful figure appeared at my door. She gently locked the door and leapt onto my bed. You scared me. She clutched her chest, panting heavily. I've never been this sneaky before. Is she asleep? I couldn't wait to ask. She's snoring. That's why I sneaked out, she said while cooperating with me. In a flash, I was already at her crotch. She had shed her usual pride tonight and was fully committed, making me drunk and senseless after we were done. Looking at her panting softly in my arms, my heart was pounding with love. I kissed her forehead sweetly. Bo da, you should go now. Don't let your brother get suspicious. Her enchanting voice was like heavenly music. It was so lovely. You're right. -1 in-law, I should go now. I immediately jumped off the bed and turned to leave. Wait, this is my room. I turned back and saw her already falling asleep with a sweet smile. She fell asleep sweetly. Looking at her satisfied expression, I knew. This was the expression of a woman who had been satisfied. After an extreme release, she no longer knew where she was. She was still stuck in that excitement, lost in the depths of pleasure. So she had this illusion. I gently patted her pretty fair cheek. Sis-in-law, wake up. Why haven't you left yet? She opened her blurry eyes. I smiled. Sis-in-law. This is my room. She sat up abruptly and looked around the room with her blurry eyes. She chuckled. Then she reached out and patted me gently. It's all your fault, you little brat. You made me all confused. Sis-in-law, how about you just take a nap here? I'll wake you up later. I said considerately. She shook her head. She hugged me again. I should go back now, or if he wakes up, it'll be terrible. Watching her beautiful figure disappear at the door, I felt a pang of guilt, as a man, to let the woman he loved have a secret tryst with him with fear. I felt terrible. The next morning, during breakfast, Shen Yechu asked me with a grin, Jibo da, did you have a good rest last night? Her formal way of asking made me feel uneasy, uncomfortable. Still, I forced myself to answer. Later on, Shen Yechu rented a private yacht, saying we were going to the sea for some fun. I glanced at Shen Yechu, who was focused on driving the yacht, and found that she wasn't paying attention to us. So I whispered to my sis-in-law, Sis-in-law, we're going back tomorrow. I still want you tonight. I looked a little embarrassed. She also glanced at Shen Yechu, then said awkwardly, the yacht is small. We don't seem to have any opportunity. She looked around the yacht and knitted her brows. That damned woman. She had to go to sea to play. We could have just stayed another day at the Garden Hot Spring City. She looked at my frustrated face. She chuckled. I quickly asked her, what are you laughing at? She didn't answer. She just kept laughing. Her smile was sweet and beautiful and incredibly moving. Sis-in-law, what's wrong? Do I have something on my face? I quickly rubbed my face, but there was nothing there. She stopped laughing and glanced at Shen Yechu again. You little fool, if the bedroom doesn't work, does it mean we can't do it here? As she spoke, she used her fingertip to point at her feet. I suddenly realized. I laughed happily. You're so smart. -1 in-law, the deck of the yacht is spacious and clean. At that moment, she rubbed her temples. As if she was uncomfortable, I quickly asked, Sis-in-law, what's wrong? Are you feeling sick? Seeing my anxious look, she shook her head. It's nothing. It's probably because I didn't sleep all night. Didn't sleep all night? Didn't you go back to your room last night? How come you didn't sleep? I looked at her incredulously. I lowered my voice. Don't even mention it. I don't know what happened. I just couldn't fall asleep when I went back. She seemed a little shy. She whispered back. It might be because it's been too long since I had such a complete release. I grinned mischievously. Heh, sis-in-law, that was just the beginning. The real action is still to come. You better be prepared. She gave me a wink and said disdainfully, TCH, who's scared of whom? If you got it, then let's go. Okay, sis-in-law. Tonight, I'll definitely give you an even better time. My grin was even more sly. No, I'm going to my cabin for a nap, or I'll really be exhausted. She said this and stood up. I quickly stood up as well. Wanting to help her to her cabin, she waved her hand, meaning that I didn't have to move. I'm fine on my own, just take care of yourself. As she spoke, she glanced at Shen Yechu, who was still driving the boat. Her meaning was self-evident. It was telling me to behave myself. I chuckled and said quietly, "Don't worry, sis-in-law. I only have you in my heart." She greeted Shen Yechu and went to sleep. "Hey Bo-da, why are you still sitting there? Why don't you come here and learn how to drive this thing?" Shen Yechu, after my sis-in-law went down, yelled at me. I smiled and waved my hand at the cockpit. "No need to learn. I know how to drive." "Yeah, right. You're bragging." Shen Yechu didn't believe it. "Alright, then let me show you what I can do." My vanity drove me to follow Shen Yechu into the cockpit. "Really? If you can actually drive it, I'll do whatever you want." She pulled me to the helm and looked at me with teasing eyes. "Come on, Mr. G Bo-da," against her expectations. I drove the yacht very smoothly, and I followed the target set by the compass. "Not even a little off. You're pretty good." Her expression of admiration and her gaze made me enjoy it. Then I felt a soft touch against my back. Shen Yechu hugged me tightly from behind. "Chu, yeah, don't do this." Although it feels good, I refused. She snorted unhappily. "Humph, am I that repulsive to you? How am I worse than Liu Ryan?" My heart skipped a beat. I asked guiltily, "Why do you say that?" She snorted even harder. "If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place." Her words were very clear. It seemed she had already found out that my sis-in-law had gone to my room last night. Just as I was thinking about how to explain myself, her initiative made me act like a man. It was hot, and we weren't wearing much. Plus Shen Yechu herself was very attractive. This single action was all it took. I started acting like the man I was supposed to be. I held the helm tightly with both hands, afraid that the yacht would go off course. "Ji Bo-da, stop the boat." She said this, but her actions didn't stop. My brain was completely blank. I only had a man's urge and desire. Lured by the desire and impulse, I steadied the yacht and turned around to hug Shen Yechu. Men are emotional beings, that's absolutely right. Once I hugged her, what I saw was a white, alluring and seductive scene. I lost control and pushed her heavily under my body. Shen Yechu made me crazy, her initiative even more so. I was experiencing a new dimension of manhood. The entire process was almost completely spent in my enjoyment. Without any shyness or pretension, I quickly lost my ability to resist. "You know about me and my sis-in-law, right?" Afterwards, I still asked, unable to let it go. Shen Yechu breathed heavily. "Actually, I noticed you two a while ago, but I didn't point it out. Last night confirmed my suspicions that you already had something going on. I'm just going to be straightforward, but I'm telling you, you absolutely can't let my bestie know about this. Understand? Why?" She looked disdainful. "Don't ask too much. I absolutely can't let her get hurt." I was a little excited. "Then what about us? I don't want it to be just once." She didn't hide her feelings. I was getting a little impatient. "What else do you want? Isn't once enough? Do you really want to hurt my bestie? You're either an idiot or a fool. Just tell me, do you like me or not? Do you want to do it with me again?" She got up and started to tidy herself. I nodded mechanically. "Of course I do." It was a man's instinct. Facing such a beautiful woman in front of me, it would be a lie to say I didn't want to. "Okay then, I want you." She smiled sweetly when she said this. "But what about my sis-in-law? I can't betray her." I stated my position. "Who asked you to betray her? If you were the kind of heartless person, I would look down on you." She said. Then how can we do it again?" I was confused, but my heart was yearning for more. I was yearning for more. "Don't worry, I have a plan." I started to believe she had a good solution. I hugged her from behind and said suggestively, "I never thought you'd be like this. Get out of here. Where do you think you're touching?" She twisted her waist, pretending to break free of my hands, but that force didn't do anything at all. I knew she was just putting on a show. After struggling for a bit, she obediently let me do what I wanted. "Just tell me quickly, what's your plan?" I really wanted to know her plan that would satisfy all of us. This would be a great thing for me. "It's actually very simple. I know everything that's been going on between you and Liu Ryan these past 2 days. Didn't you two agree to have some fun on the deck tonight?" She turned her head and looked at me. I nodded, but I was curious how she knew about it. I thought that I spoke very softly when I spoke to my sis-in-law. "That's not important now. Tonight, you two just go ahead with your plan and have some fun." She laughed proudly. "Oh, come on, tell me." I was getting anxious. I tightened my grip. She couldn't bear it anymore and kicked me playfully. "You damned brat, you hurt me." "Then tell me quickly." I smiled mischievously. She seemed to have been caught in my trap. She begged for mercy. All right, I'll tell you. Why did I fall for you? You little rascal." Heh, now you know, but it's too late." I felt Shen Yechu had even more appeal for me than other women. She straightened up a bit, trying to control the emotions my hand had stirred up. "My plan is that when you two are having fun tonight, I'll go to the deck and catch you." I frowned and shook my head. That won't work if you catch us. Sis-in-law definitely won't accept that. I know Liu Ryan better than you do. But the next part is more important. She put on an enchanting expression. When I catch you to having fun, I'll tell you to leave. Then you just leave quickly, I'll talk to her. She bit her lip and continued. Talk about what? I asked concerned. I'll just come clean with your sis-in-law. I'll tell her to let me join you guys. That's the only way she gained her husband's trust. After all, this trip was created by me for your benefit, wasn't it? She laughed proudly. Will it work? I was still a bit worried. She stopped laughing. Will it work? We'll see, won't we? I know Liu Ryan well enough. It shouldn't be a problem. I thought about it and it did seem feasible. So I nodded in agreement. Thinking of the two beautiful women, I could only take a risk. After dinner, the three of us, with our own thoughts, went back to our rooms to rest. Tonight, my sis-in-law was the one who sent me a message first. Go to the deck now and wait for me. I can't wait. I quickly grabbed a blanket and tiptoed to the deck. After all, the sea breeze was still cold at night. I was afraid she might get cold. So I brought a blanket for her. Soon my sis-in-law came up. Looking at her surprised face in the night, she was truly the definition of a woman, making every man want to cherish her. Sis-in-law, she fell asleep so early tonight. I asked knowingly, yeah, she must be really tired. She fell asleep not long after lying down. She seemed very clear-headed. I naturally understood why Shin Yechu fell asleep so quickly. The sea breeze was chilly and the night was beautiful. Such wonderful moments should always be cherished. Not long after, my sis-in-law and I dove into the waves. Just as she was facing the sea for the first time, enjoying the feeling I was giving her, I was making her feel from the bottom of her heart. Shin Yechu's voice came from behind. You guys? The shout almost scared my sis-in-law into the sea. We were stunned. I can't believe you're doing this behind my back. Shin Yechu climbed on deck. Shin Yechu, don't misunderstand. Listen to my explanation. She quickly wrapped the blanket around herself, trying to reduce her shyness and embarrassment. What's there to explain? I saw everything. Weren't you two going at it just now? She pouted, looking unhappy. Chu, yeah. I was about to speak when she interrupted me. Alright, this isn't your concern. Go downstairs. Shen Yechu did as planned. So I quickly climbed down from the deck, but I didn't go to the cabin. Instead, I was eavesdropping quietly at the second level. After a moment of silence, my sis-in-law was the first to speak. Zichu, you're not going to tell Lao Li, right? She sighed. Have you forgotten who I am? I'm your bestie, she said with a shaking voice. I have my own difficulties. I understand you. We're both women. And we're both caged women. Shen Yechu tried to comfort her. She sighed heavily. If it wasn't for Lao Li forcing me, I wouldn't have done this. Don't blame yourself. It's their own fault for being useless. But they still want us to stay chaste. Not to mention, my husband, Lao Wang. He just completely ignores me. It's useless. Isn't he wasting my youth? Shen Yechu said indignantly. She nodded. I could hear everything clearly downstairs. I was very impressed by her consideration. Really, Ryan, if you can truly understand me, why don't you let me join you? She revealed her intention. What do you mean? She didn't understand what Shen Yechu meant. I mean all three of us together. She said straightforwardly, she screamed in surprise. No, that's definitely not possible. I'm not that corrupted yet. She knew that my sis-in-law misunderstood her. She quickly clarified, TCH, it's not what you think. What I mean is, tonight let Jibo Da sleep with me once. Okay, she was speechless for a moment. What is this? Just this once. My husband is coming back tomorrow. Then Jibo Da will still be yours, she continued. Seeing that she still wasn't saying anything, she said again, besides, with me joining in, Lao Li can truly trust us, all three of us together. Can't you see the good in that? My sis-in-law nodded slightly, as if she understood the reasoning. So, you agree? She quickly asked. She sighed, looking like she was unwilling. Oh, do I have a choice? TCH, you stingy woman. I'm not even taking your husband, Shen Yechu said disdainfully. She looked at Shen Yechu. To be honest, I'd rather give Lao Li to you. Hearing my sis-in-law say this, I was really touched. So I was more important to her than her husband. Get out of here. You keep him for yourself. Shen Yechu looked disgusted. I know what your husband is like. Calling him 3-second Taro is apt. How do you know? Have you slept with Lao Li before? She asked intentionally. Damn you. Still not dead? How's my own husband doing? Do you think I wouldn't know? Guess old Li is just like old Wang. Shen Yechu spilled her heart out. I, who was eavesdropping, knew tonight is destined to be a sleepless night.